Good afternoon. Today is April 25th, 2023. We're looking at a view of our sun in 211 angstroms. And I'm just going to kind of point out a few changes, and I'm going to toggle backwards a little bit, and we're going to kind of toggle back and forth here a little bit. So I want you to pay close attention to our incoming regions. Sunspot 3288 has drastically grown overnight, and it is now Earth facing. Okay, look right here, but we're going to look up on the limb because this is where the story is. This is producing almost all CMEs, and it has grown from an alpha class to a beta class overnight, which means this sunspot is growing and morphing, and it has energy to it. Right here, you can begin to see a CME. See, it starts here. We've got these nice looping loops here of energy. Moving it forward, you can begin to see it break away. Look right here. You can see all the plasma being hurled. Now, I'm going to guess that some of this is being hurled straight out in front of it. Might catch Earth. Unfortunately, for us, it's not going to be the best weather forecast. But if you happen to be in the northern tier of states and in under some clear skies, in the next couple days you may see the activity from that CME. But you can just see now it's snapping back, forming the loops again. And it is even more intense than it was before, so we know that is not done. Here you can see another filament getting ready to disrupt up right here on this in the sunspot region. And it is ready to go, but not quite there yet. We have had almost constant, as I roll this backwards, look down here, we've had six C-class flares and an M-class flare from the region right here. So this has been continuing to populate us with activity as well. If we were not cloudy, we would have a fantastic forecast. We have this corona hole has been developing into a bigger corona hole system, while this has shrunk down a little bit. I do think that these will last around the rotation again, so we want to watch for these in the next couple of weeks. We'll know if they've made stand a chance of making the full rotation. Okay, let's go back and look at our sunspot regions, and I'm going to roll up here to the top. 3288 is now a beta gamma delta. It has spread out, and 3285 is growing again. Like I said, as I predicted yesterday, they're going to come earth facing. They're going to get right over here just past where they are right now, and they're going to go to town. And I think that's the pattern that is happening. This is 3289. It has gone from an alpha class storm to a beta class storm over our spot overnight. So let's go down and look at these and look at the changes. 3285, you remember yesterday there wasn't much blue and there wasn't a penumbra forming right here. Here is a penumbra reforming right in here. This penumbra is much bigger. Again, we still have the charge going all the way around it. But it is not producing much flare potential. It has the ability to, but it's not doing much. 3286 is off to the side and not much. 3288 is our big story. This is moved from a beta class to a beta gamma delta. This means within these penumbra, within the holes themselves, there actually is a positive and a negative charge within the hole itself. That means that the looping energy that lifts off in the filaments is much stronger, much active, and you can tell that by the way that this has gone from being all blue over here to having the blue and the red wrapping around each other. And this is 65% chance of continuing to flare and produce CMEs, and it has produced an M class that was Earth facing. Unfortunately, it's probably going to hit Saturday or Sunday, and we're going to be under stormy conditions. Those areas that are fortunate enough to have clear skies may see another repeat of last Sunday. I would look for this to be on the high side because it's mixing with coronal hole streams, and it's mixing with CMEs, and it's mixing with other flares. I would say we have a very high potential this is going to be a bigger event. Going over here onto our incoming limb. This still has 2 or 3 days before it is completely Earth facing, and another 3 days on the back side of that before it is gone. So we have 6 days here that this can affect us. This is a beta class now. It is growing. It's produced 2 C class flares, and this is the region all our CMEs are coming from. And if we remember looking back, there's a horseshoe size filament right here lifting off from this area where the blue and the red are tightly wrapped right here. And then there's that filament tube coming down off it that's going over this region that lifted off in a CME. 3290 is rotating away from us. 3291 is Earth facing, but not it's growing a little bit, not really. 3292, which I think is this region here at the bottom, it is an alpha class that is developing. It is going to, I think, kind of set up the same structure as our 3285 and 3288 has. They're going to play into each other rapidly, morph around, and really create a high energy sunspot. And again, this has got 2 to 3 days before it is directly facing us that it can affect us at this point, and another 2 or 3 days before it rotates out of the range of hitting us. Depending on the eruptive activity and the direction of the push, it could affect us 3 days past center disk. So we have a 6-day period. If it pops off after it reaches center disk, by Wednesday we're supposed to have partly clearing skies. We may get some activity at the tail end of next week, but I don't think it will be huge. So here is our solar flares. You can see we've had C class, C class, C class, C class, C class, C class, and a huge M class flare. It is just, these are all going to rush together depending on the wind speeds that they're happening and combine to make something much bigger. Combine them in with our CMEs that are out there. We did take a full halo hit, and that is this CME. Now the trajectory was moving away from us for the most part, okay, but it is, that may be the one I pointed out that has enough behind it that's pushing toward us. But let's take a look at some of the other ones that happened late yesterday afternoon. I think I ended here. We've got activity here and here. Not much going down here. Might get a little bit off that. There's our full halo. This is what I want you to look at. Look at the density of what was thrown off that in that CME. Look at how dense this is. Now we have another normal size CME down here kicking off. from a flare activity, kicked off some energy coming down and away from the earth. It may still tickle us a little bit. Here's another kickoff into that same flare region or CME region, and another one coming from a lower CME that hasn't really come full view yet. Here is another tickle from there. So most of that is not going to directly hit us except for that full halo But it does mean we have activity coming at us in the next 3 days. 3 days is going to put us into Saturday, Sunday, which could put us into the potential of seeing something at the first of the week. Okay, going to the emerald spiral. Let's look and see what they have going on here. Here is the big CME that's taking off. NASA's saying it's going to completely miss us by the look of it. Maybe a teeny tiny slap. But in another 24 hours, anything that comes off that's going to hit us, and it's just getting more and more active. So that is a good sign. Let's pop over here to our space weather page. Tonight, if you can get off and under the clouds, we are predicted to have a little bigger event in the early hours of the evening into early morning hours. We did get some last night. I didn't get great last night, but I got some, and despite the high level cloud cover that was there, I right now am sitting under complete cloud cover, and I don't see any breaks coming at the moment. Let's pop down here and look at the Lascaux feed. Look at the density of this. Look, this is just massive. Look at that. And it kicks up all the way around the... So it is a full halo. It kicked up all the way around. And remember, this can hit us in about 24 to 36 hours, depending on how fast it's moving. Coming down here to NOAA's emerald spiral, they have a density spike hitting us, was 26th into the 27th, that hit last night. Then we're going to pick up with our wind speeds tonight into the 30th, which is tonight, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then they predict it's going to die off. But at this point, it's iffy, because we have so much activity going on. Wind speeds are hitting above 600 miles per hour. Density is really quite good right now. And it looks like we are flip-flopping, which indicates we are starting to take a magnetic load. And I would look for this soon to start jumping up into the higher KP range. Remember, when we start seeing this flip-flop, 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 it's usually indicative of, in the near future, we're going to take a magnetic load and we're going to start getting activity. Looking at the satellite, Lower Michigan, you have a better chance at seeing something. You're going to be under high clouds. We have a thin patch that may or may not build in. This area may or may not build in. It's just going to be, Lower Michigan's going to be the place to be. That's just it. Some of us may have to drive to get off under the clouds, and you still may not see anything because there's so many clouds to the north of you. You're just going to have to hunt and peck. Over here on the northern east coast, you might stand a little better chance, Alpena area, of getting some solar activity tonight. Looking at the short range forecast maps through the weekend. Let's take a look at this. This is the storm cell. We are going to be under a low pressure cell, which means it's going to be really cloudy and really nasty. And we're going to get snow, potential of rain up in the upper part of Minnesota, tip of the mitt area. Going to be cold, miserable, icky weekend. And then next week it should start to warm up some. We are predicted to be partly cloudy through Wednesday through the latter part of the week. So there is a potential we could get enough of a clearing to see something. Monday, Tuesday, they're predicting we're still going to be under this rainy pattern. Everybody pray that God just gives us a little boost and gets those clouds out of the way a little bit sooner. And that is the best that we can hope for at this point. And I'm going to leave your forecast there. Happy hunting tonight. If you get the chance, I would try if you're in lower Michigan. It doesn't hurt to go out and look.